Hello, Val Verde broadcasting fans and whatever.
Crushed the intro.
Crushed it, man. Crushed it. Welcome back to the commentaries. They're back. They're back. Like the guy says in this film, doesn't he? It's come back or whatever. Anyway, bad reference. Yeah, we finally managed to get together and get some commentaries under our belt. So we thought, since we're in a bit of a pickle and need to do something that's relatively short, that we would do Event Horizon, because we know you guys have a sort of, well, quite a few of you have a soft spot for this film, I think, and I do. I know you're.
It's Paul Anderson's best film.
Yeah.
That might sound like a weirdly diplomatic opener. People will know my association with Paul Anderson films, but it's Paul Anderson's best film for me, quite a margin, really. I'd say.
Okay.
So there you go.
Praise, but there we are.
Yeah, indeed.
I would agree with that. Not that I've seen all of his films, but I think it's all right. I think it's pretty good. Okay, well, if you're going to watch along with us, and why wouldn't you? Get your DVD or your streamings or your pirate copy. Let's be honest. To 0 or to the. We're at the menu now with play, and I'm going to hit play now.
Donkey, you've got a nice kind of fancy box for your Event Horizon. That's some kind of special 3D box.
Yeah, it was part of a special edition that I quickly got because I think it was 20 or 30 quid. It was quite expensive, but it was like you could only. I thought they were a limited edition, because I think they then released the discs, and it's the same as what's on the Blu-ray.
So this is a digital versatile disc.
That's right.
Not a Blu-ray.
It's not a Blu-ray, no. But it is a special edition box set that's kind of it's designed to look like the front of the Event Horizon, which was modelled on Notre Dame.
Oh.
Which is timely. But there we are. Yeah, they 3D scanned it, which is good. So maybe they can 3D print a new one.
A new Notre Dame 3D printed.
It would look a bit like the clock tower from Back to the Future 2, maybe. I don't know. So these opening credits. So this film is a film that kind of came at a time. So it came out in 97.
97, yeah.
And it kind of, for me, in terms of my interaction with it, I didn't see it at the time in the cinema or anything. I think I was too young anyway. But some of my friends did, and it was one of those. I had a friend called Jerry at school who was a bit of a. He won't thank me for saying this, but he was a bit of a sort of. He liked a bit of horror. He liked a bit of the old horror.
The old horror. Oh, well, like me then. Oh well, I don't really dig on torture porn horror, but I like my horror.
The horror. So, Jerry there, he didn't speak like that at all. He was like, "Hi, I'm Jerry." But he said, I remember him bugging me to the point where it became a running joke. He was like, "Have you seen Event Horizon?" And I'd be like, "No, I haven't." And then I threatened to spoil The Matrix for him, so he'd shut up about it.
That is the most sort of 90s story.
Yeah, it really is. And then eventually I found it I was on holiday with my parents, and it was in one of those sort of timeshare type things, and they had my parents went out, my mum and stepdad went out for a walk, and I didn't want to, so I raided the video versatile CISC cupboard.
That's a very good point you just made, actually.
Yeah.
Digital versatile CISC.
And I found, of course, the Event Horizon, and I put it on, and I watched it sort of during the day, much like we are now, actually, and it sort of freaked me out a little bit. I didn't anticipate that it would be so horrific. I thought it was just a space romp.
It is not nice.
That it isn't.
Well, this is it's funny because Anderson did Shopping and he did Mortal Kombat, and he got surrounded immediately by like a hell of a lot of talent. So this is produced by Lawrence Gordon, who produced at least the first two Die Hard movies, Predator, Boogie Nights. Lawrence Gordon, really prolific, and
Jeremy Bolt, was he exec? Who? Because is it Jeremy Bolt? Jeffrey Bolt, Bolt is his surname, who did this as well. He produced.
Yeah, because there's 3 producers credited on this, I think.
Okay.
Mark Kamen's music as well, so it's another carryover from Die Hard. There's a lot of names involved in this. So he was like this promising whiz kid of a director, and actually, I'm saying that in a slightly shitty way. If you've, this is such faint praise. If you view it like from financial returns, Paul Anderson's had a very successful career.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, he's, the Resident Evil films. The reason, I carved an internet career out of cussing Resident Evil films.
I used to have that watch. Sorry.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh.
I just sold it last year, but it's an Amiga Speedmaster. It was the first watch worn on the moon, but it would not be ticking, and you can hear it ticking there. But since the ship's been away for 7 years, you shouldn't be able to hear it ticking because it has a power of over 48 hours.
They're selling something inappropriate to its battery life.
Nice one, face.
A bit of Christ imagery there, you know.
Well, yeah, or
it's very basic, but it's it's kind of Judeo-Christian stuff.
Yeah, it's rudimentary in its symbolism, but that's okay. It's one of those things where it doesn't have to be that deep, as long as we're not pretending to be profound with it. Which I don't
Hey, look, I when I say that this is my favourite Paul Anderson film, and like I said, he's got like Adrian Biddle working on this. There's all these people surrounding him, all this talent around him, and it shows. It sounds like damning with faint praise. I think it's like, in terms of its story and its execution, it's kind of more than adequate. But I mean that I just don't want to sound like
what's odd. So in sort of in terms of, I mean, we're probably about as far away from this as this was away from Alien when it came out, more or less, in terms of time, isn't it? So it's odd to see how much this has apparently influenced a lot of other media and other things. I'm thinking of like Dead Space, but also like loads of other stuff.
Well, I know like Alex Garland is often accused of making things that are compilations of other things, and Sunshine is very similar to this. I think Sunshine is a far superior film in my opinion. So it's right in front of me. Look, on your list of
there it is.
On Blu-ray disc. But it's a very similar concept, and this the stuff with his dead wife and everything. Quite a lot of it's similar to Solaris, as in the originals, the Tarkovsky Solaris, not the Soderbergh one.
Clooney one.
So the Clooney one. So I think a lot of space stuff tends to sort of feed back into itself. I mean, it's interesting. If I didn't know this was Paramount, I would think it was Fox.
Right.
Just because it feels like a Fox movie, and it's got loads of people that've been involved in Fox movies involved in it and stuff like that.
Okay,
so, and it's got USAC and stuff. It leans into USAC.
USAC.
It leans into the alien imagery quite a lot. It's kind of like a...
Well, it's shot by the same DP. Well, no, he was a camera op, wasn't he, on Alien? And then so this bit. So right away we've had a cut scene here, haven't we? There was to be, and it's on this disc set actually. There's a deleted scene where Sam Neill, and it's in the audio from it is in the trailer, I believe, because it's used as like a voiceover where it's a woman, the lady talking about how there was a lot, distress signal was event horizon. And whilst I like that scene, it so often with these deleted scenes as well, you find out there's a lot of repetition. So it's like that basically mirrors what Sam Neill's about to tell them when they wake up from Isaac anyway.
There's the strange thing with deleted scenes in that everyone thinks it's all this. Everybody has this impression that deleted scenes are deleted because some evil producer came out with a gun, held it to the director's head and said, "That scene's too good, you must remove it!"
Yes.
When in fact normally deleted scenes come out because A, they affect the pacing, B, they're redundant narratively, or C, budgetary, whatever.
Well, and also you shoot a lot for so they'd have shot that. They'd have also shot the stuff with Sam Neill, and it's just for options. It's just purely so that they can choose which one they're going to use, which way to do the exposition, whether or not they think. And quite often in scripting as well, like I found this with a project I was on recently when I went to do the ADR, they were like, well, we were cutting it together and we just found that, in the script it read right, but when you put it together, there was just too much repetition of the same thing, and it started to feel false. It started to actually feel, I hope I'm not giving away anything, but it was about my character saying that something was safe.
Right.
But because of how certain things play out in said project, it read like I was saying it wasn't. I was nefarious basically. So they wanted to change that. So that's another example of a thing like that where it's just like, look, it read that way, it was all good, but then on the day, if you really think about it, which it's 5 minutes away from Sam Neill basically saying the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't really hold. I mean, this is the thing with this as well, like how ridiculously derivative it is. Like the set design is very similar to Alien. They had a scene of them going into hypersleep. I think it evokes the feel. I know it's because of Paul Anderson as a director, but it's a mixed British and American crew as well.
Right.
Which kind of makes you feel a bit like Alien, and Alien franchise likes to do that a bit. A great ensemble in this, but all the kind of iconography of this film is very, very similar to Alien, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's very. And you know what? I like the idea of It's the good mixture of science fiction and fantasy where your spaceship crew, instead of discovering like a virus or a creature, discover the actual Judeo-Christian hell.
Yeah, well, So now I gather that there's because of the various cuts and stuff, it was more explicitly the Judeo-Christian hell. And then in this cut, it's sort of not.
It's like a nasty. It's just sort of like an evil dimension.
Because it's part of the thing is that it's a singularity, and that they've sort of unlocked a singularity, and that that's what is sort of pure. It's just pure chaos and pure evil, which is an interesting idea. I mean, obviously, it's not. It's one of those ones where it's like, well, you can't really go into it too much, because if you do and start, pulling at that particular thread, then it all starts to unravel pretty quickly.
I think if you give away too much of that, it becomes a chore.
Dad bod Sam Neill.
I say this much. This and I obviously he's surrounded by different people and stuff, and you have Adrian Biddle and whatnot. And one of my beefs with Paul Anderson's work is that he, and particularly in the Resident Evil films, there's a very poor concept of space, representing space and time and how people move within a space. This film is full of really great blocking and long takes, which these last few scenes have been really great examples. So them entering hypersleep and him coming out so far, this is one take from quite a long take, and there was a long take before, and it's all kind of blocked and planned out. And he just doesn't tend to do that anymore. There's loads of Alice does a backflip. And then,
very much, does he? He shoots a lot on green screen and a lot on he does it. I might say that I haven't seen the more recent Resident Evils, but it always seemed to me anyway that he shoots a lot. I saw some of Pompeii, and that just seems so green screen.
Yeah, he's done a few bits like that just sort of fall in the cracks, because there's a Musketeers film looked very kind of CGI heavy. Not
you
that
must
I've watched
Musketeers. Your Musketeers in the Musketeers.
Your Musketeers are in arrears.
Now I have a connection to one of the crew. Actually, I've worked with one of the crew from this.
Oh.
Any guesses whom?
My dead wife! I don't know. Adrian Biddle?
No. He died, didn't he? He died.
When did he die?
I can't remember. I'll look it up in a sec. No, Derek Harrington, who's the location manager.
As long as he wasn't the optician, because she didn't have any eyes.
I see what you did there. Do you see what I did there?
Would you like Joe?
Derek Harrington's the location manager for Hallows Eve as well. So I did wonder though, and I didn't dare ask him when I was working on it. I was like, what does a location manager do on a show shot entirely at Pinewood? But there you go.
There you go.
Richard T. Jones, sexy motherfucker, shaking that ass.
Just standing around looking buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great cast here. Fucking Jason Isaacs and Sean Pertwee. The son of the third Dr. John Pertwee. But I love Sean Pertwee. He's fucking great.
Yeah. He's a great Alfred, actually, as well, from what I saw.
Yeah, he is. He's great. He's angry Cockney Alfred that calls people slags and stuff. It's great. And,
Boss away! Get out of here, boss away! Come here, Bullseye. Come here, Bullseye.
I just watched Maggie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jolie Richardson. A zombie film. It was a mixed bag.
She's in the Hat and Garden Job, which I also was.
Hat on
there's another connection with me to Event Horizon. What else can I find? What's degrees of separation?
I have a towel.
There you go, one for you.
So this kind of stuff is all a bit. This is where I find this perfectly enjoyable film to watch, but this is where I kind of encounter problems with it, in that it's kind of like, what's going on, Harrington? I'm sad about my dead wheelchair boy. Or everyone gets their things.
It's funny you say that, because that's exactly the problem I have with Predators, and you don't seem to have that problem with it. Whereas I just feel he's like, these are my children that they keep in my thing now.
Yeah, but it's like,
about to die. Boom.
In this, it's like they do it for everybody. It's like everyone gets like, here's my anxiety. I hope a hell dimension doesn't exploit that.
Kind of. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's things like, some of it's more sort of like DJ's scar that's never, they don't really talk about. But then, there's that sort of stuff. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I suppose when I saw this for the first time, it would have been like early 2000s or whatever, and I guess I wasn't as cine literate. Well, I certainly wasn't as cine literate as I am now, and I didn't put all that together. That this was homaging quite heavily those sorts of things. In one sense, though, I mean, that's the cynical approach. In another sense, I think that actually, this is a good way of doing it. It's sort of taking the best ideas for this kind of thing. And look, this could so easily be an exhibition dump of a film. And it's like, it sort of gets most of it out the way here, and then you're just kind of almost...
It is quite lean, yeah. Right. I don't cut it enough slack. I kind of always found it like, in terms of its entertainment value, it was like a solid 6-7 out of 10 for me. Because I think that's fair. And it's one of these things, again, as a kid, I liked it a hell of a lot more, because horror movie set in space. And I'm like, space, not a horror movie, isn't it? It's like, oh, okay. This is going to be better than the Hellraiser in space, or the Critters in space, or
Freddy in space, or
Jason in space, Jason X, which is a vastly superior film to this one. I haven't watched it in ages, but it is great.
Okay.
I insist, and it's got David Cronenberg in it. So
I insist. Well, fair enough. So I mean, for me, this. I think this actually, and I give all props to Sam Neill for this bit. He really sells the shit out. This for me is probably the best part of this film. Is the setup. You know, it's that what the fuck? Well, hang on, what? You know, and I like the fact that it's all just done from a set and it's done by actors. You know, that any weight that is given to the kind of what the event horizon is, what happened, blah blah blah. There's what sets up the tension and the sort of the dread, if you like. It's through them. It's not,
and it's well covered.
Yeah,
I mean that's the thing. Like the way technically as a film, it's really nicely made. So it's all very well covered. You know, and I can't have my cake and eat it because like Sunshine is horribly derivative of a number of things, and that's the point. Is kind of the point with it. 28 Days Later is similar. So I can't kind of say, well, I don't like it because it's derivative because Sunshine is the same thing. I just think it does it with more class personally. But they are the thing is as well though, you've got to give it to Event Horizon because they are really similar films, like Sunshine.
Dude, like I say, I think this is influenced. There's something about this film that has endured. Like for all intents and purposes, it should have been a forgotten about little sci-fi horror film that, you know, just like in the way that Sunshine has. I mean, people don't talk about Sunshine enough, in my opinion. I do think it deserves a lot more than people more often refer to this. It's like with with Interstellar, and they're like, you know, with the paper and the pen thing, which he's about to do here. It's like you can't like do that and not be thinking of Event Horizon. Surely, I know that's the thing that scientists do, but it's like it just has, for some reason, it's kept going, and it's influenced an awful lot of other stuff through its aesthetic, you know, as well. The like Dead Space and everything is so influenced by this, which I know is
Dead Space massively.
Yeah, and I know that it's influenced by an influencer. I know this is influenced itself by a lot of other stuff, so I do take that on board, but.
By pornography
that I'll probably have and not stored on a disc somewhere.
yeah. I'll poke a hole in it later with my penis because it's pornography.
There's literature on the other side of it, though. I want to know what that is.
Classy. It's like Playboy or whatever. It's got articles about, you know, mahogany tables and watches and stuff.
Nice.
Whatever Playboy does.
That's what the Guideway does. He's not. It doesn't sound Kiwi. I've always, when people are like, "I was Kiwi," well, he actually was born in Ireland. Believe it or not, Sam.
Yeah, apparently so. He's one of those transplanted people.
He is. Which is why in Peaky Blinders, he does a very convincing Northern Irish accent. He says, "Tommy Shelby, hey, hey, fine, yeah," he says, and then Thomas just goes, "No, you out, you out for it."
All guys are spice.
Yeah, Tommy Shelby spice,
spicy blinders. That's the next series.
It's like 105 years later, Tommy was frozen in carbonite.
That's exactly what happens in Critters. The hick guy gets frozen and they wake him up on the spaceship. Fucking Cillian Murphy wakes up on a spaceship in the future. Be a spicy blonde.
They're like, no, we don't.
What do you mean you can't replicate whiskey? I'm going to get in so much trouble for my awful accent, but there you go.
Well, people get upset. Actually, I find the more accurate you are with an accent, the more upset they get. It's very bizarre. They're like, oh, I tried Sawksy Bird back there like that. You're like, well, that is what you sound like, isn't it?
No.
It's quarter Finchie. I'm going now. The G is silent.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's not a hard G.
That's why Noddy Holder unsubscribed from our channel. It's Christmas,
but not for you.
Let's
naughty boys.
Let's go after England's second city, shall we? See where that gets us.
Birmingham's all right. We did a Comic-Con there.
I work there all the time. I love Birmingham. It's great. I do fucking always stay in. I stay in Maureen's. I stay in Maureen's Airbnb. She's very good.
Oh,
yeah, she lives on the way to the NEC. Very good, very good. So microwave in the room. It's excellent for a sad single man travelling to film a conference on his own.
Come for the Event Horizon, stay for the Maureen.
It's not a million miles away. Going to the Birmingham NEC for a conference isn't a million miles away from going into
Neptune's
hypersleep and then waking up in hell.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Very good. I like the way they've done things. Like there's little touches, like putting the duct tape on his chair.
Yeah, it's the used futurist take, isn't it? Yeah. Also, the way Lawrence Fishburne's chair moves, it's like the guy in Team America. Yeah. It's like Spotswood's chair in Team America, like moving around.
It's the fact that it's hung rather than on a rail, so it like or on a track rather, so it does shake about. But then that would kind of make sense. So this stuff apparently is accurate in terms of having like an atmosphere in lower orbit or whatever. Apparently it's possible, because it always seemed a bit silly to me that they were going through clouds, but somehow they were in space. But apparently that is a thing, or could be a thing.
Spicy blinders.
Quite timely as well, obviously, because we've just taken the first picture of an event horizon, haven't we?
I turned that into a meme and posted it all over social media, and quite a lot of people didn't get it.
No, I didn't get it.
You didn't get it. Oh well.
Well, I did. You sent me the picture, and I was like, "Who's that? Isn't that?" And because such is the way when you're WhatsApping someone, I was beginning to type, "Isn't that the Event Horizon lady?"
Right.
But you were like, "You dickhead, it's the Event Horizon lady." I was like, "No, I was going to say that." But yeah, I was like, but it looked like, because he did such a good job of comping in that.
Thanks very much. I should have known that wasn't gonna. That's a dumb thing to meme. That's on me. I actually stole it from a drum and bass group that I'm in anyway.
Oh, very good.
Well, they didn't put VVB in it, Anyway, or digress.
Do you think the route? I mean, obviously, there's presumably you could trace this back to a biblical story, but that is into the Heart of Darkness, perhaps. Any story that involves journeying to an unknown. The Heart of Darkness
is become a kind of literary trope now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, that shot, all the model stuff in this is superb.
It doesn't make any sense though, because they're like proximity warnings are going off and stuff like that, and they're like, I can't see it, so I won't slow down. It's like you're in a cloud.
Yeah, I won't slow down. Fuck that.
Until I have a visual, I'm not slowing down.
Just really arrogant.
No. But yeah, it's cool. So you get that big reveal through the clouds. It does look great, and it is this thing. I mean, like I say again, performatively and script-wise, they've built this thing up into that's what works in this. It's that kind of like, it's, what is that? What is the event? What was this ship? What happened to it? I like that. It doesn't spoon feed you too much, which is really important. I think with a thing like this, it's all about that.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw a just out of context screen from Soldier, his film with Sean Penn and Kurt Russell, which is technically in the Blade Runner universe, which I think owns David Peoples.
That's right.
There's a screenshot of his service record, and it's like the McCready Medal, the Snake Plissken Award, and he's qualified to use a smart gun. What is the gun from Alien? And it's just like, and it's a picture of Kurt Russell's face next to that, and it's like, and then it says like battle at the shoulder of Orion and stuff, and it's just like, okay, on one hand it creates this insanely unmanageable universe, but on the other hand, it's just like there's none of this. That's so unsubtle. It's so thunderously unsubtle.
Yeah. It sounds like it was written by someone we know. Or used to know. But anyway, that sort of stuff. The sort of cross-pollination stuff does my head in a bit. But then that's obviously done. There's something you're never really supposed to see or pay attention.
Yeah. I suppose, and I saw, that's the thing. I saw it in isolation. But and Soldier is a dreadful film.
Well, so that was what got this made actually by Paul W.S. Anderson, because he was going to do Soldier, and then Kurt Russell said he wanted to get in shape, but he wanted to do it properly naturally. So he took a year off to do that, and in that year, Paul Anderson was looking for something to do. It's
entirely possible. If Soldier came out first, I'm not sure they would have made this with him. I'm not sure the same level of talent, unless things were locked in, obviously.
But then, what this originally was wouldn't have been I don't think would have been very good, because it was all supposed to be about aliens and stuff like that. And
because that's the thing. If the third act doesn't run into an original concept, it's not going to go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah, and it's the third act where this does struggle. I think it's interesting though as well that you make a film that essentially has no bad guy. You never actually see a bad guy, but it's still really threatening. It's still really fucking. Well, I think it's quite freaky and
yeah, it is. No, that's the thing. I think the third act's really good, because often the problem with these things is third act problems is the classic issue.
Yeah,
and even 28 Days Later and Sunshine have that, because they sort of run out of steam. I still really love them, but they kind of run out of steam. I mean, like 28 Days Later just turns into Dawn of the Dead, essentially. And Sunshine kind of turns into this a little bit. Except it has a more upbeat concept for its ending.
That's very Alien-like, that thing, isn't it? The thing that comes out of it looks like a mouth.
The thing, I've got a real thing for abandoned buildings and stuff like that. If you ever looked at like Urbex photos online,
my friend does that. Yeah.
I've done a little bit of it. It's something that really fascinates me. I really like shipwrecks and stuff as well. So as a kid, when it's like, oh well, this spaceship's been lost in space for years and they board it. To me, that's just like, whoa, that's fucking.
Oh no,
cool.
I love that stuff as well. Have you seen Ghost Ship though?
No, I haven't brought that up the other day. Yeah, all I ever heard was that it was awful.
It's on Netflix, but what frustrates me about it is the trailer and the artwork make you think it's exactly the film you want. Like all this stuff, like I love all that stuff. That kind of like the abandoned ship and where's it been and the mystery.
Great little the green lights in the boots. It's a really lovely bit of visual storytelling.
Yeah,
it's a lovely touch.
Magnetic boots. Yeah, it's clever. I love all that stuff, and you would think a film called Ghost Ship would be perfect for all that, but it was not very good.
Is the ship full of ghosts, or is the ship a ghost? Because this stuff was all the kind of neck of the ship with all the stuff was in the pre-credits thing, and it's very nice. It's just cool imagery. It's nicely spooky. It kind of the CGI suffers a bit, but fuck it, it's 22 years old, so that's whatever. It's a 90s CGI. I mean, I would totally have been, because I think I would have rented this from the Select and Save up around the corner from my folks' house. I imagine.
Yeah.
Because I would have got on this. This would have been a great Friday night out as teenagers to go and see.
Yeah.
I loved this in the cinema. And I really loved it at the time, but it's just sort of not aged pretty well. I'd also just say, to get this out of the way, the Event Horizon ship is quite reminiscent in design of a Klingon D7 battle cruiser.
That's it.
Yeah, it's quite similar, long neck, bird-like design. Warning, foreshadowing.
It makes zero sense, that corridor thing, because I love it as a device, as a plot device, but in practical, like when you see him do it later on, spoilers. Lawrence Fishburne literally has to
you have to prime all the bolts.
He has to prime all the things, but then it leaves you at the wrong end of the ship. It would make more sense if you primed them from the back to the front and then had because it releases
You only need to survive if you have good cardio.
Yeah, well, it's like you get to the other end and then it releases.
Look at that. That is directly from Alien.
Yeah,
lasery or Aliens.
It releases the trigger at the bottom end because you see him do it some white do it at the top. Anyway, the pillars and everything. It's all very gothic.
It's because the ship itself is really creepy, which is great, and it's a thing of because that's the thing in Sunshine. This is what I mean. It's not just that, but they have to go find the abandoned other ship and dock with it, and it's so similar.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, and beat for beat. I mean, that happens slightly later on in that film, doesn't it? It's not. But yeah, no, it's very, very close. I do think what lets Sunshine down is its third act, in a way, because it's that when it turns into a sort of slasher film and it's not covered particularly well. It does my head in trying to watch
it's
it.
Kind of all those sunspots and stuff. I mean, it's like that by design.
Oh, I know, it's
but
on
it
purpose.
Doesn't necessarily. But people always that's the thing that annoys me. People use that to defend. It's like, well, it's not on purpose. It's like, it doesn't mean I want to watch it. It doesn't mean it's nice to look at.
It's just not a good choice.
I personally quite like that look and the way they did that, but that's just me. That's.
I do and I don't. I mean, I get that you don't want to show the guy too much, but I do want at least some idea of where he is and what's going on.
And also, because that's what's his name?
Boyle.
No, the actor playing the stalky murder guy in Sunshine.
Oh, Mark Strong.
Mark Strong. There you go. He looks a lot like shredded up Demon Weir from this.
Yeah.
It's quite similar to. There's a scene in Star Trek 6 where they do the kind of no gravity walk around the ship with fluids and things.
Okay.
And actually the concept of separating section of the ship as well is kind of Star Trek-y. But if you're going to do space sci-fi stuff, it's always going to link up.
I think so, yeah.
That is what that is. It's pretty it's kind of like, I'll tell you what else as well. I mean, it comes after. The plot of Doom is... they go to Mars and uncover Judeo-Christian hell, essentially. And then, you could say the Doom movie then must have an eye on this. There's another... Have you seen the trailer for the new Doom film?
No. Okay, we'll look at that later.
Maybe
on the live stream. We'll
that's it. Super cheap, straight-to-video film, probably filmed in Eastern Europe type thing. You're super cheap.
I was high.
I'm fine. I just look like this all the time.
I like that. I mean, I don't like it, but the idea that the crew just went nuts and fucking started doing this to themselves.
Yeah, just kind of slaughtered each other, because that's really horrible. Because Weir does all that stuff to himself, doesn't he? Where he's cut himself all up.
Rips his eye. Oh no, he gets. Well, that's it plays into some deleted stuff, but that's basically a recoagulated Weir by the ship. because he gets thrown out into space.
Oh
doesn't he?
yes, that's right. So it's been kind of rebuilt. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So this is the thing. I sort of do confuse it with Sunshine, because that's because in Sunshine it's kind of self-abuse from exposing yourself to the sunlight.
Well, it's because that guy's just been sat for however many years, like bathing himself in sunlight.
Yeah.
And frying himself.
I like the gyroscopic disco ball of doom, and it's all very, like I say, it's all very gothic, and it's a little bit. I think it's more industrial, and it's more gothic, which takes it away from the HR Giga look, which is kind of techno-organic. It's not doing that. It's doing, its own thing.
There's a sort of steampunk aesthetic as well.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Kind of, but yeah.
Blast off.
But it's quite cool that I just think that's just a fascinating thing to look at, and quite clever, and not, would have been relatively easy to put together. That kind of thing.
Yeah, in the scheme of Hollywood, it feels more like a kind of and I think they've probably done this. They'll probably say this in the proper commentary or whatever, but it feels more like kind of a Gothic cathedral than a space badge.
That's very Hellraiser. That the idea being that it's a puzzle box type thing opening up. But and the sort of
Justin 5. I am Justin 5.
the rings of hell also as well, obviously aligning and opening. There is I think it's in the script or something, but there was a description of what's on the other side of that. And that's right. There's a description at the end of the film when the event, when they get sucked into the whatever it is, the portal or whatever, of where it pops out the other side, and it's like a pitch black universe with a dark black planet or something that's like oozing, and a hand comes out of it. I mean, all that stuff, you don't need that.
Don't touch the fucking portal, you dingbat. Everyone disappeared.
I know.
I think on the other side is a very busy garden centre on a bank holiday.
The Dobbies.
My concept of hell.
With like everywhere you turn, like pensioners in your way.
Some screaming kids who won't eat their fucking sausage, chips and beans in the cafe. Nowhere to park.
Indecisive pensioners like stopping and turning around in front of you.
I love the idea of a remade Event Horizon with a super pedestrian concept of hell. It's just sort of like, bank holiday Monday. I'm queuing at the Dole office. It's hell.
Yeah. It's people will ask. People actually ask me when we do the mailbag and stuff about this film a lot, and whether or not I think it could be remade. And I actually think, I don't think it should be remade, but I think you could do a sequel to it. That would, I guess it would essentially be the same thing, kind of, but you could do a sequel to it. Should they? No. No, they shouldn't.
But there's the whole world of, sequels more or less being remakes, particularly in the world of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Sci-fi, by the way, short for science fiance, in case you're wondering. Oh no! Give me a cuddle.
Mine spikes.
These are science spikes to make the science work better.
Then I've pierced my Justin on the spine. There's always a Partridge quote. So they make the
Don't
science.
shine that torch in my face, mate. I've lost a pint of hell. Quickly, the science spikes are broken. The portal won't work.
This bastard! Get the old bastard on my
You slag bastard.
Doctor, where are you, Doctor Bastard?
Dr. Bastard, you slag bastard slag.
Have a banana.
You fucking mug. Snooker, loopy, nuts are we. What your snooker, loopy. Come
on, the Arsenal!
Here's my pitch. Event Horizon 2 with Jason Isaacs and Sean Pertwee returning, but as Chaz and Dave in space.
As the son of, I guess, these people, because...
And maybe, no, Chaz and Dave are frozen.
Ow, sorry.
And they wake up in space. That's like our earlier pitch.
Right.
And they go into Jupiter to put on a Cockney rock pub concert, and then they meet the Event Horizon.
Very good.
Yeah.
So can we take it as written, by the way, that...
This is Coca-Cola.
Yes. Well, yes, but also the trivia about this film was like obviously that the frozen man who basically, we know that someone baked a Barbie into one of them and the Barbie came out.
What?
You didn't know that? Okay, fuck. I always get a bit like this with like all trivia stuff. Like,
this
I'm surprised you didn't mention the Barbie. We all know. All right, look.
I didn't know. This is the thing.
So
we're in your kind of backyard with this one. This is not. I'm looking at your fucking 3D printed bloody box set.
All right, okay. Well, so when they did that, I think it was when they did the test for that dummy, the shattering dummy. They someone had baked a Barbie into it.
Right. So there's it's sort of like so I think. The 2009 Star Trek, when the ship blows up, there's a R2-D2-C3PO, so there's one of those little hidden SFX/VFX gags.
Yeah.
Right, okay, oh nice.
There's supposedly an X-Wing built into the model of the Event Horizon as well, but I've never been able to find it.
I love doing that, don't they? They really, really do.
Yeah. Kind of wanky.
You fucking bastards, League.
Yeah, 12 wanky bastards.
Fucking Event Horizon bastard. You slag, you Geordie slag. Fucking slag, mug slag.
Why would you also... I guess because the docking thing is where it is, but could you not dock further towards like one end of that?
Space dock, well.
Yeah. I always feel with this as well, you kind of have to rattle it off because it's not a very long film. You kind of have to get all the...
That's something that, look, I think certain stories don't need to be stupidly long, and this is something that I will praise this film for. And like you said, there's deleted stuff, and it's kind of redundant, and it's good that that's out because you know stuff that's unnecessary. You tell a lean story, and I think that's one of the things that really play. If this was a two and a half hour film, it would be insufferable because it's just like why it doesn't need to be that long.
I know what you mean. I think I would have liked it if I do like because you know so they keep in the bit where the tank fills with blood and explodes in not Angelina Jolie Richardson's face. But that was supposed to be Weir coming back together. You were supposed to see like his hand press against the side of the tank inside, and so it was the ship bringing him back together, which I kind of like. But then I understand why they cut that because it's very like we're saying he's a physical thing, which is obviously later on they want him to kind of be more ethereal, and because he can sort of turn into different people and.
Okay.
Oh, and he turns into another connection I sort of have with it. He turns into the person who plays the Burning Man. Edmund or Edward Corrick or whatever it is manifestation is Noah Huntley, who he was in Snow White and the Huntsman as the king, and I didn't really meet him, but I did some stunt training.
I thought he's the cousin of Ian Huntley, who's my cousin.
Ian Huntley.
Cool. All right.
There you go.
All right. I just realised as well, I will stop soon, but fucking Sunshine has a crew member exposed to the vacuum as well.
Yeah, same.
Fucking...
It does tackle very similar beats. It also tackles like CO2 scrubbing because they have that garden, don't they?
Yeah.
Same sort of stakes, sort of.
The strange. Oh man, I think it's actually 4 films. Oh yeah, I used to have a Benedict Wong sci-fi trilogy, but now it's a quadrilogy.
Oh.
Benedict Wong, Moon, Sunshine, Prometheus, and The Martian.
Yeah.
And it's like, because someone called Benedict Wong. We're doing a sci-fi, quickly. We have to put Benedict Wong in this because he's the guard. I think he's the gardener guy. Or spoilers for Sunshine. Spoilers for Sunshine. Spoilers for Sunshine. He kills himself in the garden.
Right. Yes, Sunshine. He does. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Or no, she gets killed in the garden.
She gets killed in the garden. But Benedict Wong kills himself in the garden. He commits suicide.
Well, he's in the that room that screens different things for you for like your mood, isn't he?
Oh, so it might be showing he was in the garden. No, I probably just pulled that my ass. But he definitely kills himself. So
yeah. No, he does. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because he miscalculates the thing.
Did you ever watch? 15 Stories High with him and Sean Locke? It's got one of my favourite comedy lines ever. It's like because he was Errol, he was like Scouse in that, and he's calling his mum, and he goes, "Mom, it's me, Errol." No, the Chinese one. That's so fucking good.
That's really good. He's great, man.
I love him.
And he's part of the MCU.
Now he's a fucking MCU guy, so good for him.
Good to see him in Endgame. Yeah.
I think his character's called Wong, isn't he, as well?
Something like that, yeah.
IASA? Is the space agency called... Is that an I or is it just ASA? Or is it IASA?
I think it's IASA, which I guess it...
International American Space Agency?
I guess so. Or ISA, I don't know.
Ian also saw Adam. Yeah. What? Excellent. Well, then it's decided.
No, it isn't.
Wait, what? Yeah. I think Fishburne's really, really well cast. I mean, I'm reluctant to say typecast, but maybe typecast is sort of authority figures. I mean, this is 2 years before The Matrix, for example. But I think the first thing most people I saw him in was he plays Cuba Gooding Jr.'s dad in Boys in the Hood. John Singleton just passed away actually the last couple of days, which is really sad. But he plays Lawrence Fishburne's dad, which is ridiculous because he's like 5 years older than him or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of an authority figure. Various other things. He's sort of the guy you get in to do that. But as a captain, you know, he would be as a spaceship captain. He's very believable. He's good at that kind of steely sort of commanding thing.
Yeah, he's always been someone who's managed. He plays figures of authority, doesn't he? Well, I mean, that seems to have been his thing throughout his career, really. Then you've got he's in Apocalypse Now, obviously.
He lied about his age to get into that.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he was like 16 or something. Said he was 18, which is why he looks about 12.
Yeah. But yeah, he's someone who always. I mean, people always, I guess, point to Morpheus as that, but this came before that, and I think this is, for me, was always the kind of first time I saw him in something where I was like, okay, you know, like he really, he steals the show in this in quite a big way. Well, him and Sam Neill are great, but
it's great in Predators as well. Yeah. Duncan's favourite film. No. I love Fishburne.
What did you say about him in Predators? You were like, going through all the like things that are on the planet. You were like, yeah, it looks like there was a fucking Burger King.
Well, look, I don't want to speak ill of the man, but he's fucking huge in that movie, and it's like, I've been here for 8 seasons. It's like, eating what? Like, Jesus Christ.
I know.
I'm space disabled, Mom. I think there's, I don't know. I'm being a bit of a shitbag, but I think disability is a kind of easy emotional tug in films is a bit patronising sometimes. I don't know. Just sort of going like, oh, you know, using disabled people as a kind of cheap emotional beat. I'm not saying that's necessarily true here because it's about maternity and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
a lot of. I'm not necessarily levelling that at this film, but sometimes media does that, and I think it's a bit patronising. But that's just me.
And what uses them as a
it's sort of like, rather than sort of fill in a character, just go like, they're disabled, they've got a disabled relative. And it's sort of, I think it's a bit dehumanising because it's just a bit kind of like, oh, well, they're not a person, they're a condition, and we've used that for
I see what you mean.
It's also the same, I put it in the same bracket as like, oh, we can't think of any emotional weight for this film, let's kill a dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's shorthand for this person has had a tough life.
Yeah, I tell you what I'm getting at, really. It's disabled people being used only as victims and not as fully fleshed out characters, I find kind of
fair enough
dumb.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not in a position to speak for people, but like I just find it a bit like, you know, oh yeah, that's not a person, that's a disability, and it's a bit like, come on, that's shit. Oh, he's in Judge Dredd.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, he's one of the councillor judges in Judge Dredd. He plays Judge Silver, who is nothing like his comic book counterpart.
What are they about?
90s sci-fi stuff, I guess. There you go.
Yeah.
Right, so Jason Isaacs was the captain in the first season of USS Discovery. USS Discovery, that's the name of the ship. Star Trek Discovery. He was in which he was really great because, of course, because he's Jason Isaacs. He's fucking cool. He was called Captain Lorca.
Captain Lorca.
The Star Trek Discovery is about a spaceship with a essentially magic warp jump drive thing. So, you know, it's similar. You know, there's a tenuous link to this, really. There we go. Green lights and smoke. We're in a 90s sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
Alka-Seltzer. He's got that close-up on his eye earlier. He had a very much like John Hurt does in Alien. He had like loads of moisture on his skin, and he was like really like watery.
Watery, yeah.
The dark.
He does those convulsions really well.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
So these little sets are really fucking cool, like, and just the lighting of them and stuff. And it's, I guess, the idea that everything on all those walls are kind of processors. It's all kind of processing power or something.
So yeah, well, they're also obviously all circuitry and stuff, but it's designed so you can walk through it. But then you've got to wonder to what end. Like what? I guess you can access all of it. Maybe I tell you what. Maybe it's to make it all accessible. So you can actually get to it all rather than it all being kind of buried in something or whatever. To put it in a corridor. There you go. That makes sense.
I'm guessing there's some kind of rear projection or set extension or mirrors or something going on there.
I don't know. I think it's just in the wall, isn't it? And lit from behind.
Oh, look at that. There's the vertigo.
Yeah.
Vertigo zoom.
Rack in, pull out or whatever it is.
Zoom in, rack out.
Zoom in, rack out.
It's very strange. But you can fake that now with 4 and 8K.
Can you?
Yeah, you just do kind of zoom out in software, which is a bit nuts. It doesn't look as good. Oh, ha, oh, ha. Again, scenes in vents, you know.
Yeah. It's all very like alien-y and
yeah. It's extremely reminiscent.
well, it's Dallas in the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, except he's got a torch instead of a flamethrower guide, mate.
And an eyeless wife instead of an alien.
His backstory is he let his wife's eyes fall out. Why did you let my eyes fall out, David? I was using them for looking at things.
You could have held the spoons to my face. Tighter.
Why don't you sellotape my eyelids shut? Event Horizon 2. Her eyes fell out. Oh.
Event her eyes.
Event her eyes. Oh, look, here's Hellboy.
Yeah.
Not that kind of Hellboy.
Jam face. There he is. I let a man die in jam.
I let him drown in jam. There's nothing they could have done.
Damn, I let a man die in jam. In a pram. Eating ham. Then I went to Amsterdam.
And listened to Ram Jam. And ate a clam. At a poetry slam. I've got a great pitch for a movie.
You read Sam I Am and eat Sam. You don't get it as they're kicking you out of the
I'm a visionary genius.
I got this idea, right, when I was watching Event Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Picture of that.
I don't know why is Rod Serling suddenly involved in this?
I have no idea.
Picture a man who can only rhyme with ham. Yes.
There was something with the Pierce Brosnan about Sam Neill as well.
Yeah.
Kind of got that, thing going on.
It's because I think his uncle was Bill Pertwee, who was the air raid warden guy from Dad's Army.
Who? Sean Pertwee?
Sean Pertwee. So
Yeah,
John
okay.
Pertwee was his dad. I think Bill
I was
Pertwee
talking
was
about Sam Neill.
Oh, you're talking about Sam Neill? Oh, I don't
So
get
that's
that.
his
Sorry.
brother.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, massively. Maybe it's an Irish thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
Well, if you look at you put them together, they've got such similar features. It's insane. There's a really obvious familial line there.
Yeah, they do have a very consistent sort of Pertweeness, don't they?
If there's a picture on Facebook here, on the internet, sorry, on that Facebook, where Sean Pertwee dressed up as his dad for
I've
Halloween.
seen it.
It's
Yeah,
really
I've
cool.
seen it.
It's really
It
great.
looks so much like him.
I mean, fine, you could get him back to play the Third Doctor, but why not get him to come back and play Spotty from Super Ted? That's the question we're all asking. Or Wurzel Gummidge.
Very true.
These are the questions that need answers.
Wurzel Gummidge freaked me out, man.
It's fucking weird as shit, though, wasn't it?
It really was. Like, I watched it. I found it. There's obviously a lot of it on YouTube now, and I found it, and I was like, "Oh, I watched this. I haven't watched this in ages." And it was like, "Oh, it was really freaky."
See, you couldn't make a horror version of Wurzel Gummidge because Wurzel Gummidge is the horror version.
It
of Wurzel
really
Gummidge.
is. Yeah.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Yeah.
Outside, cup of tea, pizza, coke.
I wonder if I don't know if any of you
Probably lost a lot of the audience.
American guys, people. Like if you've not seen it, if you can check it out. But I mean, please don't pass judgment on us as a nation.
I mean, definitely. I mean,
it's questionable.
Watch it sober, at least. Like fuck.
The Event Horizon.
Well, the problem with this person's brain is that it's green.
I found green in his brain.
He's full of green. He's some kind
full of solid green.
He's people. Wait,
yeah. He's people.
He's more broccoli now than man.
Stemmy and tree-like.
What?
Stemmy and nutritional.
See, that's another one of those lighting decisions. Like, we put the lighting in the set. It's like, yeah, but why have you got things that turn around and shine like disco balls on the scene? Like,
yeah.
To what end?
Again, fantastic coverage there, though. I think that was like some super wide lens. It's probably like that shot there was like a sub 20mm lens, probably. So kind of, and so there's a bit of distortion, but it just looks great. And it's in the anamorphic format anyway, so it's kind of
the anamorphic style.
Vic Reeves' real name is Jim Moore, like Mohr. And if you follow him on Twitter, his paintings are amazing.
Oh, right.
He does these really warped caricatures and stuff. Total sidebar.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a really good example of the kind of gothic steampunky church thing in that lab with the columns and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, or Jim Moore or Vic Reeves walked. I remember him walking on
Sunshine.
Maleficent when we were doing Maleficent, and he turned up. I must have been filming something else at Pinewood, but he had like a plastic bird on his shoulder. He was dressed in tweed and had all stuff.
That's the thing with him. He is like that all the time. That's the.
There's Jason Isaacs is doing a sort of Irish accent in this. It's a bit weird.
I don't know.
I'm sort of Irish, but I'm not, and I don't know what it is.
See, this is weird, right? The fact that we've got what looks like sort of claws trying to come through the metal, that implies there is some physicality to what's going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of vague as to how it's able to manifest itself. I mean, that as well. I'm not going to say it's the first thing that did it, but like it's very reminiscent of the Robert Wise version of The Haunting, because there's a thing with kind of a rubber door. Well, it's not rubber, but but the door kind of expands, and because the original Haunting it's kind of similar to this, and it's become a horror movie trope, but it's about. Have you seen it?
No.
The house supposedly contains some kind of infernal force, but you never see it. So the door expands, and you have all the noise and kind of racket of that, but you don't actually see anything, and it's spooky and scary.
Yeah.
The thing of kind of doors expanding and stuff, and warping. There's some kind of manifestation that was making me think of that. Love a spacewalk.
A sport.
They're kind of quite. They don't particularly lean into Dutch angles and stuff on this. There was one a minute ago, but it's not something that happens all the time. Which is good because it's a bit of a cliche for kind of horror stuff.
Yeah, they did it with. I guess it's to show Sam Neill's madness. They shoot in a Dutch angle, but otherwise, it's fairly. I like this shot.
This is really horrible as well because it's just one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Well, it's the sort of countdown as well. It's a great sort of device for showing it. It's sort of like he's in the airlock and then he's not aware of it until he snaps out of it.
Yeah, that's what's kind of hellish. It's just cruel.
Yeah,
it lets him know what's going on.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's. Well, yeah, and I think they were very clear about what type of hell they wanted to allude to anyway in this. Like they talked a lot about Hieronymus Bosch and all that sort of stuff. And certainly in all the when you actually see it.
Yeah, those little kind of flash cuts and stuff are very kind of like Boschian hell type. And I suppose really if you're going to do this stuff, you're invoking Milton as well, and that kind of era of depiction. It was Judeo-Christian stuff really, and Renaissance era and all kinds of other layers of depictions of hell. It's quite a broad church, isn't it? Well, broad anti-church. Oh no! Yeah, look, and then they just let him wake up in time to get sucked out into space.
Yeah.
That's horrible. I mean, like, because he had to pick... Because I think Sunshine does a good job of telling you what's going to happen, so it's like he has to exhale, and it's like the I think this says, doesn't it, as well, like the saliva boils in your mouth or whatever when you...
Well, in this he makes him, close his eyes and mouth and everything, because I think if you... it's to do with the pressure.
You have to breathe out as well, because if the air in your lungs will expand when it's exposed to a vacuum and trying to escape, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Quickly do all of your piss!
Do all your farts now!
Quickly!
The whole thing about freezing in space isn't apparently true. Not in the way it's depicted in things like Sunshine and stuff, because it's
something that will happen, but you don't freeze to death. You suffocate before anything else.
Yeah.
It takes a good minute, because that thing, if you just turn it into a big rock, you will freeze eventually. But it's not like you just go gling, click T1000 style.
Well, they also say because it's a vacuum, it's hard for heat to escape your body. That's why things like thermoses have vacuum seals around them, don't they? To keep the heat in, and that's we like that, but supposedly.
Oh, fucking hell.
Big trail of shite.
It looked like the blood was coming out of his eyes, but then his eyes are intact when he's outside of the ship. Because he covers his eyes and the blood comes out.
Yeah, well, because I think your eyes would try and pop out, wouldn't they?
But they're back there when
because I saw
out.
Times of Recall. That seemed remarkably easy to open the door then. I mean, I guess we've just cut forward.
I suppose you've got to go into a sequence when it's... Oh, God, it's so fucking horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. Why there's flashing lights going on? It's strobe lighting in a fucking... But that's quite effective, and it's used quite effectively in here, because there's lightning outside, that's right.
They keep framing him in the cross because of what's going to happen to him. I guess there's kind of an allusion to that.
Yeah, it's a weak one because obviously it's not like he sacrifices himself.
I kind of feel like the storytelling in this isn't really down to Paul Anderson.
Well, it's
based on what else I've seen, because like I say, the visual storytelling.
It's a spec script. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. I mean the visual storytelling, because I kind of feel like there's a load of talented people in this film. I always say this as a caveat because I'm not a monster, but by all accounts, Paul Anderson, the nicest fucking guy.
Oh yeah.
So I think when I started doing this like fucking 8 years ago, whatever it was, you fuck that prick, fucking rape my children. But I'm a fucking adult now, so
Yeah, no, I'd work with him. Like, what's frustrating about him, I do think he can turn. He's very good at. He always seems to have been a sort of low budget filmmaker, basically, but he's been given fairly large properties to do that with, and it's kind of like.
Well, if you watch this, he's so in love with Alien, but then when he makes an Alien film, it's like, fuck, you really don't get this in the way you think you do.
I don't know with that. I think.
Because he pitched that. That was his.
I remember seeing the pitch.
Idea,
it was online, wasn't it? Do you remember he released that as a thing, and it was like, but it was kind of like, look, there's a shuriken, and it's Alan Partridge. Right? There's a shuriken, and it comes out with a shuriken, and it comes out with long things, and it was like
Nat.
Yeah, jet. But no, it was. Conceptually, in terms of how it looked, it was quite cool. But the whole, I know why it was like, we're going to set it in an underground pyramid. It's like, so we can just build and set, and then you don't have to go anywhere.
And it's just, you know what, the problem I have for the most part, and it's not on display here, is just his kind of style of filmmaking is where there's loads of mid shots, there's hardly any wides, there's loads of quick takes, and again, particularly in the Resident Evil films, in the kind of action and martial arts sequences, that there are too many cuts. So like Resident Evil 6, but they got worse and worse. The sixth one was unwatchable, like in the cinema. Like I was struggling with it. It was like I had to turn my eyes away from it from time to time because it was just so many quick, senseless cuts, and the sense of time and space, and it was completely off.
It did go through a sort of. I mean, I don't know, but I'm imagining that was around that time when that kind of thing was prevalent. Because bear in mind, the Resident Evil series has spanned a decade, a couple or more.
I think about 14 or 15 years.
So I guess it's kind of had to play in the pool of what was.
It's what. Because I hate people kind of going, you just don't like Michael Bay because you think you're above it, and it's like, no, I don't. I really don't like Michael Bay because I hate his technical filmmaking style. Like, and it's the same thing, and I know it's difficult to do, but like he's got too many quick cuts. There's a really bad sense of space. Like, you can't drink anything in. And then in the last Transformers film he did, they were you'd have a scene where one person says one thing, and then it cuts to the reaction, and the reaction's shot in IMAX. Then it cuts back to, and you would see the aspect ratio change to the degree that the cinema I was in had a fucking bit of A4 paper glued to the door saying, "Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with the film. It's an artistic choice." Yeah. Like if you have to do that, there's probably a problem.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, those are. Don't get me wrong. I struggle with it. Like I try and let certain things go, and I can do it with properties that I'm not particularly attached to. But I know when it comes to The Predator, for example, and someone's like, yeah, but it's just a bit of fun, just go with it. It's like, no, it's a property I like the first one and the second one, and it's like a thing I like, and you're fucking with it. It's not good enough.
Well,
go make Space Hunter 2 or whatever.
Me and Resident Evil, it's kind of like,
well, yeah, exactly.
Why are you doing this? Like, you've made a film of a video game, but that video game is probably Max Payne or something else. It's not fucking Resident Evil.
Yeah. Well, Max Payne is the case in point is the classic case in point for what video games are and what movies are and why they're not the same thing.
Yeah. It's the pig made of sausages.
Yeah, it really is.
I'll use that analogy to the day I fucking die.
It makes total sense, but I've used that many a time before. But yeah, I mean, it's just they're two totally different. One, and I think one can influence the. Well, I think films can obviously influence games, but not the other way around, or at least very loosely.
I've got thoughts about that. I went off on one about it on a stream the other day. I think it's when I was playing Resident Evil 2. But I want to get that down properly one day when I've got time and can be fucked, which is in the future.
Does this feel? So do you think this film somehow, even though I know you don't hold it in massively high regard, but I mean, do you think it has a kind of? There seems to be some residual thing for it. There seems to be a kind of. It feels like people see it as an unresolved thing in terms of that there is more to be had from it.
What do you mean, as in another film, or is there this?
Just more film, more anything else. Like there does seem to be that this there's more demand than supply in terms of Event Horizon.
I can, I can imagine a parallel, a different timeline where this was a huge hit and there's 3 of them and there was novels and a comic book and a video game.
It must be. I think there is a novelisation, but it must be said that one of the reasons for this not doing so well at the box office was the fact that it was Paramount decided to switch to Cameron was taking longer with Titanic and was pushing it on for release, and so they had to fill a slot in the summer, and they decided to put this in that slot, which traditionally for a horror film is a very hard slot to fill in the summer. And also it meant that they had to get it ready an extra 4 or 5 months earlier.
Right.
So that's why. And then Anderson gave up his right. He's supposed to have, I think directors have a clause where they have
final cut.
Yeah, they have something like 4 weeks to do minimum to do a cut or something, and he waived that. So I had to do it in 2 weeks or something. So it was just a crazy short post.
It doesn't show. I don't think it's a badly edited film, and that's something that I level at Anderson quite a lot for his stuff. So I say it doesn't show, and I think it's a really nicely made film. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Look, here's the thing. It's not something that I hold in huge regard, but I do think it's very nicely made. It entertained me very much at the time. I think it's completely solid. The thing is, it has, such as yourself, it really has its fans in quite a big way, and there are people that probably want this film to have its due.
Yeah,
and I totally get that. And look at, stuff like that shot there, that nice bit of handmade set machinery, all the kind of steam and stuff, and all the practical elements to it. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, it's got the world. It does feel considered as a world, like it really does. And like you say, the visual storytelling is great. Like there, for example, you need to show that the patch hasn't quite held, so you have some gas escaping, and it's like that's a really well shot, really well covered, gives you a total sense of what they're up against.
And those like 2 or 3 shots, that was definitely like a whole day.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? With all those lights and all that fucking smoke and stuff.
But I understand why, if you're going to get.
Oh, totally, yeah, because you're doing it properly. That's the thing. I mean, this kind of ties into this era of stuff as well. There was a fucking another Alien film, Alien Resurrection, in a similar time. There was a bunch of Star Trek on TV.
That's a great shot as well. Sorry, just to pan down just in time for the thing to come on and you not see it as an audience. You get their reaction first, and then you see it. And it's
that's what I mean. There's really great visual storytelling in this.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's really good. This is when the kind of snap edits work.
Yeah.
Is when you just see enough. Like, what does he say with the eyes?
Liberate me ex inferior. Oh, wait, he says liberate tutte me ex inferior or something, which apparently is not correct Latin. Means like, bring me another taco or something. I think liberate me means obviously like liberate me, but it doesn't mean save. It doesn't mean it in the same way as save me. I can't remember what save means. It's to liberate or to yeah. I mean it's close.
Fair.
And then obviously in fairness is hell. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
mate. And then tutte me, I don't know if that means yourself. Does it mean yourself? Yeah, does it?
Spicy blinders.
Yeah, does it mean, oh no?
Oh no.
Are we going to go to Hill?
You've drifted. Oh no.
Is it? This is using his Kiwi accent, man. I am home, mate.
This fucking says, so, I mean...
It's extended with a mirror, isn't it? They put a mirror in, which is smart. Again,
it's great when you do those kind of ribbed sets, you can do that, and it's a really good subtle effect.
Presumably it had to be fairly symmetrical in order to be able to... But again, if you're covering it just from... It's a corridor, so you're going to cover it looking one way or the other, aren't you? So it's,
and again, if you keep the kind of distance out of focus, then...
Yeah. Smart. It's just smart.
Great lighting.
This makes me laugh though, because he just steps back into the darkness and you're like, does he go?
Yeah, it's great.
He goes, I am home. And he just goes like that. And he's still there. He just goes like, I am still here.
I am home, but right now I'm next to a pillar.
I am home. I'm not house proud though. Take your shoes off.
Wipe your feet, you filthy bastards. Yeah. Quickly, we have to fix these spikes.
This bit. Like, what is a CO2 scrubber? I mean, it's a thing, isn't it? Because I always thought that when I saw this, I thought it was a fictional thing, but it's not, because it is a.
No, because isn't
they have them. That's what Apollo 13.
I was going to say, that's the issue in Apollo 13.
Yeah. So it's just a filtration system, I suppose. But we've got a little plant in it. But that's great. I love those tubes and stuff. You don't know what they are. They're obviously filters of some kind, but it's like they're really what like that. The carriers for them are purpose.
Visual storytelling.
Yeah.
You just get that that's some kind of. It's quite. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, these are quick edits done well and with purpose.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, it serves a purpose. It's supposed to be disorientating, and it's supposed to represent a kind of uncertain thing in space and time, and the concept that it's not quite real.
Well, that sequence, for example, is a perfect example of what we're talking about. We start with a very clear wide, with them doing what they're doing. We know what they're doing. She runs off, and it goes into that narrow focus of like suddenly it's on her. We're mid-shot, we're close up, and then we get all the flash up, and then we expand back out again to see what. So it's like something's been done to her. We get an idea that something's been done to her psychologically, and now we've come back out to witness.
It shows, from a storytelling point of view, it shows an incursion and impact upon reality.
Yeah.
So her reality has been warped. So our sense of space and time becomes corrupted by those edits. That's good visual storytelling. Absolutely. And it's not obnoxious, because you can do that and it can be obnoxious. Because again, you could do that badly, and then some people would try and justify that existence by saying, well, what they meant to do is like, I don't care what they meant to do. I want to know what they actually did.
Yeah. A poor execution of something doesn't mean that this is not a free part. There's a lot of that as well, and it ties into the whole idea of what an event horizon is. But there's a lot of sort of characters realizing something, and this is all part of the hell thing. When it's too late, there's a point of no return. Stuff, which is obviously what an event horizon is. But yeah, and it is a bit sort of like, why would she go after the kid? But again, it's all about sort of saying, well, they're not in their right mind, and you can see it on her face. She's like, my kid, and she realizes what's about to happen to her just as it happens, and before she can do anything about it.
Well, yeah, she's been easily manipulated, I think that's it, because you're preying on someone's maternal instincts. That's what I was talking about earlier, because like, what we'll do as a shortcut is make the child disabled, because then it makes her more vulnerable to it, and it's a bit like, I don't know about that, maybe I'm just talking about us. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments.
There was a planned it's talked about in the film, but there was a sequence involving them trying to save, which was to do with Miller's vision of the Burning Man, was to do with a mission that he had done where he had to leave someone behind.
Oh yes, that's right. He left someone to burn to death because of.
And that was supposed to be part of the film. It was supposed to be a sort of like an opening scene of them doing a sort of action scene of them trying to save a thing, which would have been cool as a thing to see. But I just think, again, too literal. I'd rather, in a weird way, I'd rather see them talk about it than actually see it.
Well, there you go, and the film lives without it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, well, fine.
Oh no.
Oh, love, I'm sorry your eyes fell out.
It's a shame that we put these industrial hand dryers in our bathroom.
In the future, everybody's got them. She looks a bit like Nicole Kidman.
Hello. Can we install a Dawson E-blade in the back? Anyone's got a
Dawson E-blade.
Also, I went out and I bought some bathroom products that are all grey in keeping with our colour scheme.
I'm killing myself because I hate these grey tiles.
Yeah, I like my tits though. Bye now.
Oh fucking! This is horrible as well.
Oh, it's awful. That's the bit I have to turn away from when I because of the sound design. It's really like sinewy, meaty cutting. Like, that's horrible.
Well, there's good that she killed herself with pants on for some reason. There's that
she's got made with some dignity, and she's got a dick.
There's a lateral kind of shift. The bath is like up, and then it goes 90 degrees, and which that's kind of.
There's another thing as well with like female sexuality and stuff. Obviously with like breasts and everything in a horrible way. This uses sexuality not vastly, but it uses it in really awful ways. Like, you look at that and you go, well, there's an attractive woman, but it's scary.
Yeah,
it makes it scary.
She's got no eyes and a fucking and she's cut her wrists open.
Yeah, well, that's a clever thing to do. And like, if you see in the when they're all killing each other, they're literally like fucking each other to death with spikes and stuff.
Well, it's that kind of medieval Christian concept of depravity. It's like,
right.
And if you want to get all Freudian on it, it's sex and death.
Yeah,
there's two things that kind of intersect.
Look at me, Teddy. I'm Sean Pertwee.
I stick gum on my monitor because I'm a rebel.
All those monitors were little things with green on them, weren't they? And they were just all the image was comped in.
Well, I'm wondering about.
Didn't actually have like flat screen.
Did she have some kind of green contact lens or something to comp out her eyes?
Must have done. Yeah, must have.
You fucking slag!
Bastard! Yeah.
You mug, you muppet, you slag!
Get back up the apples and pet. He's on the vent. Your eyes in.
He's running down the neck. Right down the neck.
Snooker loopy, that's all we are snooker loopy. Man, their Skype is really clear.
Yeah, it's true.
It is the future.
If only it was like that.
It's the future.
Yeah.
Pause it. Where's the unique pause?
Space box, space bucket, space spanner, space cockney, space tray. Space!
It's interesting how, like, obviously, again, the appetite for this film at the time wasn't there. The studio didn't have that much faith in it. And yet it's had this life after death, effectively, that's been really, quite ongoing. And yet, there's talk about it because there's not a lot of remaining footage, is there? They've said there's not. They've wanted to put back together another cut of it and all that kind of stuff, but they just can't find all the stuff's disappeared or it was buried in a mine or something.
Yeah, it's definitely got it's got a cult following. It's your classic kind of cult thing, and that's the thing. A lot of films that. It's an age-old story. The film fails in the cinema, but it finds its audience on home video or wherever. And people who watched it as teenagers, you're a good example of that. You've watched it years ago, and you've obviously got a big love for it and stuff. And we've all got films like that in our collections.
I don't watch it as much anymore. I have to say, I haven't really. The only times I've really watched it in the last decade has been to do YouTube stuff with it. But I like it. Yeah, it did well because it caught me at a time, I guess, where I was sort of. Pray for this kind of stuff, I was ripe for the picking, if you like, and it probably felt not profound, but it certainly hit me in all the right places. It was a gripping story. It scared me. It affected me. Put it that way. Nowadays, I'm not affected by things like this as much, but I'm affected more by. It's more emotional stuff, like fucking Endgame, man. I was yesterday. Honestly, after I saw that, I was just so fucking. Bereft.
I was just exhausted by it. Not in a bad way, because I really liked it. But it's so much audio-visual exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. It
was moving. It was properly moving. Anyway, this is what a lot of people point to as a problem: is that you've got the kind of funny black guy, like comic relief black guy, and they're like, and it's all the kind of like, here I come, motherfuckers, and it suddenly loses any sense of veracity because it's like a guy flying through space or anything. And it's true, that's very 90s. That's a sort of dumb teenage, it suddenly makes it a teenage film rather.
Right. It's a bit cheap, isn't it? Just kind of like sort of lazy characterization and whatnot. But hey, look, and also it's flawed. I don't think anyone's going to argue with you about that. It's a flawed movie, but. It is what it is, really. I think that's kind of why it's not. That's what keeps it from greatness, really.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh no, my eye holes.
I'm not good in yours.
The gross thing as well is the idea that he did that with his own hands.
Which would not be easy to do, which is utterly horrible. Essentially, just putting your eyes out with 10 blunt instruments.
Ooh. See, this was a hard shot to get, I think, because he's on the monitor, isn't he, there? And, trying to keep that comped on the screen, pretty hard.
I'd hate to do that now, let alone in 1997. Yeah, so I guess the setup is he's had a heart transplant or something, so death by surgery is the cruelest.
Yeah.
And again, you can just infer that from the scar, which means... And you know what? Even if you haven't had a heart transplant, that's still an awful way to die.
Yeah.
Do you think he poos in his chest and sews it up?
I do think that. Except it's not sewn up. But there's a cut scene here where he's still alive.
He picked up a needle and thread, though. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
To hang him from... That's very Hellraiser-y, right?
My guts fell off.
But funnily enough, the Hellraiser, I know it is gruey and it has moments of sort of people getting ripped apart, but it's not as, gut spilling as this is in a way. It doesn't have the same.
Hellraisers, I haven't seen any Hellraiser films for years, but they were more psychological. It wasn't just like a splatter.
No, yeah, it wasn't quite the same as people weren't necessarily carved up in the same way as they are in this, but the guy.
I got me fucking nail gun.
I smell farts. I'm coming for you.
3, 4, 5, 5. I can smell Sam Neill's bum. Good eye.
I can smell all the farts you done.
I'm Lawrence Fishburne.
The classic Australian name.
I'm a bloody Morpheus, but not yet.
Yeah.
Right now I'm a space captain.
King of the space arrows. It's me. I'm gonna get ya.
That gun is sort of quite like the gun they have in Alien, isn't it? It's got that long.
Okay, yeah.
I just made a wanking motion, but you know.
For those at home, I made a wanking motion.
So I like this little idea that they've got little medikits in their thing. He's got some.
He should have used that on Jason Isaacs.
Yeah, smelling salts. Like, I don't want to be alive. What are you doing?
My guts fell off. Leave me alone.
Don't wake me up. Because there is a bit where he's still alive, and I don't know if Miller kills him or.
How am I supposed to make poo with no guts?
Making poo is what I do.
It's my whole thing.
You rang.
Drink.
Oh, he sews his eyes up.
Yeah, well, you don't want to leave an open wound.
Well, that's why he had the needle and thread. I didn't.
Oh yeah, well. That's
I mean, it's sort of like closing the stable door after the horse.
yeah, but up to the eyeballs have bolted.
The eyeballs of.
Damn it!
Just like me bloody wife.
Yeah. What does he say? Like, where we won't need eyes to see. Or whatever.
Oh, where we were going, you won't need eyes. Yeah.
Call
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
to, back
yeah.
to the future.
Where we going, we don't need eyes.
Where we're going, you won't need guts.
Yeah.
You might need your cock though, so hold on to it.
But otherwise, you don't need it.
Pack a spare change of underwear.
But not glasses, because you won't have eyes.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. The idea is you won't have eyes and you might shit yourself. But apart from that, and there's no toilet paper either.
What you can't see is that I sewed up my bumhole.
Yeah. What's
Where
the
we're going, you won't need toilet paper.
It's a Rowan Atkinson thing where he did with Toby, who's the devil, like welcoming people
Oh,
to
yeah,
hell.
yeah.
It is the whole like, I'm afraid there are no toilets in hell. If you'd read your Bible, you might have seen that it was damnation without relief.
Just imagine there's no fucking toilets here, mate. Tobias.
Tobias!
$500
dues.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear into it.
Rivet.
Rivet to your dome, bitch! It's not an explosive nail gun.
I loaded it with exploding nails.
This is all quite clever. I think, again, the sound design in this is very good. It really complements the visuals.
Honestly, he's quite sumptuous on a technical level. It's really, really nicely made. Ding dong, ding dong, dong. Not the canister. My canister!
That's where I keep my hair. No, that Captain's chair wasn't very well screwed down, was it?
In case of window breakage.
This is Total Recall-esque, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's very similar, isn't it? Well, that's the thing. I mean, put it this way: Paul Anderson knows what he likes.
That's true.
It's without question.
Well, at least there's, that one of the worst things actually about, one of the things that makes a really bad film is a director that doesn't have confidence in their vision. And I'll say what you will about Anderson in terms of him ripping off or homaging other things, but it's like he goes for it. He makes a decision, whether you like it or not. He makes a decision, and that's.
I'll say this about I have no question. This is going to sound really sarcastic, but I do mean it. Like those Resident Evil films, they in no way feel compromised to me.
Yeah,
he made the films that he set out to make, without question. I can't really argue with that. And do you know what else? They made a fuckload of money. That's why they kept making them.
Yeah,
so clearly, who am I to fucking sit around and...
Who am I to disturb you? Now that thing he just stuck in the door, that looks an awful lot like the thing you used to get with a Ninja Turtle that was on that.
It was on that rack of shit that you break it, and it was all orange.
Orange, because turtles always were orange.
I watched a thing about that. It's because that was the cheapest way to do it, and normally you would take them out and put them in, but they were like, hold on, we can just make the fucking kids do it.
And you had to like snap it off, and it left a really sharp,
sharp, deadly moulded edge.
Yeah.
Cool door there.
Yeah.
Everything's got lots of weight, hasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a kind of weight and function. I think that's important.
Well, it also, again, it speaks to I think it's a good combination of that and sound design. It's the fact that it's the same with RoboCop. Like that suit and that whole concept is just given so much more to it because of the sound, the sort of clunk, click, clunk.
And
click.
when he's first introduced, it makes this hum.
Yeah.
Like, wherever he is.
Exactly. I'm gonna hit you with my fucking, what is that? My secateurs. Not the secateurs.
For space gardening.
I think my dick fell off. Has anyone seen a really big dick?
I don't know. How much longer? I can hold this dick.
I don't know how much longer you can hold.
Jodie Richardson's one of these people who just has not aged. Haven't looked at Maggie the other day. She looks exactly the same.
Yeah, well, she was great in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as well.
What, the David Fincher one?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
You must see it.
No, it was simply must.
Now that shot, see, anything now, I think people tend to avoid adding shapes of green in sets now because it does look like unfinished green screen. If you ever see like behind the scenes stuff,
yeah,
it does look.
That's the thing that's thrown at Star Trek Insurrection because they're in a big structure at the end with F. Murray Abraham and it's all blue.
Right.
So it was, and they claim it was not the case, that it was going to just comp something in.
Right.
But yeah, I would be careful just throwing fucking big bits of green around.
Yeah.
Everybody's wise to your shit now. Yeah, because look, it looks like the neck is all kind of circuitry.
Yeah.
Is that texture?
It has a sort of stained glass window effect, doesn't it? This bit of blood thing in the top looks really cheap, and I think it was just a bit of red like paper being pulled across the top. If you look at that, it just looks like a sheet.
Well, they kind of fade effect there. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I think I've never noticed it. It's quick enough that it doesn't really matter.
So this stuff is him supposed to be coming back in the tank. That was like the ship putting
it's basically the fucking Bacta from Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the idea was a hand came up against it, and
obviously that's The Shining as well.
Yeah, and then there's that shot of him coming down the ladder upside down, which is sort of a la Exorcist.
Right. Okay.
Which is quite a freaky shot. It's on the DVD actually, but he's literally coming down it upside down, like a spider.
Upside down, boy, turn me
inside out. Literally.
It'd be a lot less threatening if he was into disco.
Why is the trigger at that end of the corridor? If the idea is you're trying to get away from that section of the ship, you probably want to go the other way. And why can't you just arm them remotely? I don't understand why you have to go there for each one.
Do it from
because they lost the bridge, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. But then, still, if you can have a manual procedure, do it the other way around. You let me burn. You gave me crabs.
You gave me crabs. Oh, that's right. He gets this fucking spikes. It's so. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to make your ship this helly, it's probably going to end up in hell.
Well, it begs the question though: that was it like this, or was it?
Did kind of become warped by it? Or whatever?
I mean, I know we sort of see it in the captain's log before it goes to hell, and it still appears to be.
Except like the ship should have like horns on it.
Yeah, it came back with horns and but not like frowny face painted on the outside.
Frowny face, yeah. Or like one of those planes with the teeth and that on it, like on the outside.
Yeah. Or like one of those things in Mario 64. Those like boxes with a frowny face.
Oh yeah, the douche. Does he kick him in the knackers to make him go?
Right in the knackers, mate.
That leg is right in the fucking knackers.
I'm gonna kick you in the knackers with me hell feet.
Don't kick me in the knackers. I'm fucking cool, mate.
Yeah, can't you? Now the feet burning underwater was actually achieved practically, I think.
Oh.
They did a clever thing with fake feet.
He's very pinheadish there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of. So I guess all the lines have always been patched back together. Or...
Well, I think they're runes, aren't they? They're sort of, if you look at them, they're
kind of like runic. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a Bluetooth symbol.
Yeah. It's hidden in there. There's an R2D2 on his arse.
R2D2 on his arse.
There's some footage. There's like test footage of him just walking around that set in that makeup, like looking just like apparently it's freezing cold because obviously Pinewood is freezing cold.
There's water everywhere.
Yeah, and he's just like he'd been in makeup since like 2 a.m. or whatever. It's just like ugh, I can imagine what that would be.
Jesus. The life of an actor. Me fucking Willie looks like this as well.
There's really horrible all the maggots
and stuff. This is a bit more of your kind of Boschian type imagery.
I believe this was all extended and supposed to be shown more of it. And people out there who go like, oh, there was half an hour of hell footage. No, there wasn't.
What would that film even be like?
That's literally like a third of the film again.
Well, that's just like a really grotesque screensaver, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, again, to what end?
Pipe down.
Much more effective being shown like that.
Did you see his ding dong?
Well, you kind of see something that would have been a ding dong.
You cut off my ding dong. It was covered in runes, mate.
There's a really stupid bit. Did you just do it? Where he catches his hand and takes it, like punches him loads, and it's like quit hitting yourself, kind of. Which literally happens in Batman in Dark Knight Rises, doesn't it? When Bane catches his fist and literally just throws it back in his face. Literally, don't quit hitting yourselves, Batman.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go to hell.
Yeah, come here with me. See, I don't understand this. The ship can control itself, right? It can control the thing, but it can't control the explosives in the corridor. ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
I do not understand. Stop doing that in slow-mo. Get there quicker. It sort of looks like the water around him's boiling as well.
Yeah, because flames and stuff. It's hell shit. It's kind of a few kind of Sam Raimi-ish flourishes in that, because that thing of the thing smashing into his face is kind of like the shot at the beginning of the movie.
That's a good bit there of continuity, whereas a section that didn't blow up.
Right.
Because obviously one of the things is missing. Yeah, it's Raimi-esque in certain ways.
In very few places, but there's a couple. There's some Dutch angles and there's some kind of crash zooms and things. Oh no.
Let's set sail on the good ship Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Paul Wilson Swan. Event Horizon.
That's the kind of advert you get for it on like Portuguese TV or something. When you're in your hotel.
When you're on holiday, and it's just kind of like
they do it. Event Horizon.
And Lenny Twan's back in action.
Laurien's Feischball and Simneiler. I remember when we were in Malta, there was an advert for something, but it kind of went Aslan. It kept going Aslan, and our cat's called Aslan, so I was going to sound like he was talking about.
It's famous in Malta.
Yeah. What does I think Angelina Jolie? Jodie Richardson is. She's just Miller or something. She goes Miller, and I don't think she means the bear.
It's Miller time.
But it's quite cool. I like that idea. I like that thing of it's that sort of nihilistic ending in terms of like he had to sacrifice himself. I do. But this is where it struggles. Like, if you're going to end on that, what's your denouement? Like this doesn't quite work as a denouement to me. It's not.
And look, fucking aliens.
Yeah, and they're sort of samurai helmets they've got going on.
Yeah, see, it's very similar to the. Well, no. Kind of Dead Space kind of leans into this so hard. Great games though, Dead Space 1 and 2. I was warned off Dead Space 3, so...
Right. Oh, I didn't even know there was a 3.
Oh yes, yeah, they force all that kind of multiplayer crap into it, so it's just not good.
Yeah, she appears to be in some kind of piss tank. I'll open it, but it might stink of piss.
I'm afraid this was the last of your supplies of limeade.
Yeah. She's encased herself in Mountain Dew.
Lieutenant Sportsbra, we're here to save you.
Yeah.
I'm a Sam Neill!
Yeah. Sam's Neill.
Sam Neill, Sam. Space Fireman! Stop being scared.
See, I don't really know what we're
Quickly,
saying.
hold her tits.
Yeah.
That'll help her calm down.
Rub her tits, that's what calms her down. I don't understand what they're saying with that ending. And I know it's sort of, let's keep some ambiguity.
Just there for the sake of it, isn't it? Yeah, because she's traumatised. Well, yeah, she literally saw hell for a bit.
Yeah, and it's like, is she still having hallucinations? Did the ship trap them now? So basically they're all going to die? I don't know. And it's
this is the Prodigy. This is funky shit. I love this track. It's kind of really inappropriate for the end of this film.
Fat of the Land, wasn't it?
Fat of the Land,
I had that on Could.
I had a tape. I've still got the tape, actually.
Get a life. You want to upgrade, mate, to a new face. He nearly soiled himself. Because it must roll a time, Paul. Yet another product that Alan Partridge ruined.
Oh, look, you got
something through the door. Probably junk mail. Yeah, junk mail.
Yeah, you're not a licensed postman. You were throwing mail.
I mean, you look like you have a weight problem, mate. You deliver a few more letters. God, Harry Metcalf. Harry Metcalf is a motoring journalist. So I doubt he was the same one.
Production assistant Alan Bennett. Oh, mother.
Peter and Dudley. Dudley and Peter. Summer's in whatever.
Where we're going, you won't need us.
Sound like Brian Cox.
Every summer in hell with mother. Alan Bennett's event horizon.
Miller and Weir and Miller.
The player for the day. And I just turned to Brian Cox. Isn't hell amazing?
Yeah. In space.
It's hell in space. Things can only get better.
Yeah. Blow up your corridor. Space.
You sleep in limeade. And you're woken up by Sam Neill.
Piss and it gets warm. What?
I'm a professor. Chris Flimsy House. See, people say we don't do blow-by-blow commentary, but when it comes to the credits, all over it, my friends. Yes. No.
So that was the anti-Harry.
Event Horizon.
Oh, there's a Duncan in there. Look, Duncan Jarman.
Love a Duncan. Jarman.
Have a jar, man. That was. I kind of breezed through that. Didn't really pay much attention. But that's the thing. Because we've done a commentary to this before. Yes, we know in the other place, the Hell Dimension, and obviously it went by quite quickly because it's a hard film to cover off everything in the short time that you get to actually discuss it because it's only an hour and a half long.
Well, that's the thing, and I am of the opinion that I do broadly consider it a good thing.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
You know, I just doesn't outstay its work. I mean, like a lot of the deleted stuff you've mentioned, it's a good example of stuff where it's taken out for a reason. You know, I think because I think it's a nicely paced film, very clean. I think 90 minutes afford you that. You know, if you balance it that way, you've got a very clean 3-act structure of 30. If you want, you don't have to do that. You could do 15 an hour and 15 if you wanted to. If you're a mad fuck.
It is the beer shit of films in terms of
the beer shit of films.
It doesn't hang around. It still holds up. It's one of those films where I do think that the memory of it is starting to outpace the actual film itself. I think when people talk about it, they're like, oh my god, and it's kind of, well, go and watch it again because I don't think you're quite recalling it how you thought. But yeah, it's I think it's a great film.
You see the Beastie Boys.
Liam Howlett.
So 3 Beastie Boys get the credit in Funky Shit because that sample.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there you go. And theme from SWAT as well. So you see the credit to XL Recordings. It's credits like everyone that samples. Yeah.
Blimey.
So between the Beastie Boys and the Prodigy, 2 of my favourite musical acts, 2 of them tragically died young. Isn't that a fun time? The persons and event horizons in this motion picture are fictitious. Oh.
There you go. Well, yeah.
Quite enough of that.
Quite enough. Thank you all for sticking with us through that. I hope it was, well, it probably wasn't informative. It's one of those films where I feel like it's kind of been done to death in terms of all the stuff that's out there, all the information that's out there is well and truly out there, and I don't think that, regurgitating it. Again, that's the problem because it's so short. To sit here and just reel off a trivia section isn't particularly edifying. I don't think so. It's kind of one of those things where you just have to. I don't know. I want us to give a bit more of a unique spin on it rather than sitting here and just listing
IMDb trivia. Yeah.
So there we are. But that was Event Horizon. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all kind of got a new slant on it if you haven't seen it for a while and you're revisiting it. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again soon for another commentary.
Yes, I agree. That's everything he said.
Yes. Good.
Support your 7th or 8th favourite YouTube channel by buying crap, tat, junk, hogwash and filth at redbubble.com/people/Val Verde Shop.